Welcome back to the coin world. Old coin review and value, the ultimate destination for rare coin discoveries, numismatic treasures, and the hidden value in your pocket change. The 1945 wheat penny, often referred to by collectors as a Lincoln cent, carries the legacy of President Abraham Lincoln, the great unifier who preserved the Union. During the American Civil War, his profile had first appeared on the penny in 1909, on the 100th anniversary of his birth. Replacing the Indian head cent, the obverse was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, were briefly removed and later restored in 1918. Beneath Lincoln's shoulder, on the obverse of the 1945 penny, Abraham Lincoln's right-facing portrait is sharply defined, with inscriptions "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1945 to the right. The reverse side features two stalks of wheat, curving inward from either side, a symbol of agricultural strength and national prosperity. Between them rests the denomination 1 cent, followed by United States of America. Above it, the words "E pluribus unum," a Latin phrase meaning "out of many, one," reflect the ideal of unity, a powerful message. During wartime, the 1945 wheat penny was minted in enormous numbers across its three major minting locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, and San Francisco. As the total mintage exceeded 1.4 billion coins. Specifically, these mintages make the 1945 penny one of the most widely produced coins of its time, a necessity in an economy that was shifting from wartime scarcity to peacetime recovery. But the story of the 1945 Lincoln cent is incomplete without understanding the metal composition, a direct result of the war effort. During World War II, copper was a critical material used in ammunition and wiring. In 1943, the U.S. Mint struck pennies in zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the military. However, the steel cents were unpopular, they rusted easily, were mistaken for dimes, and caused problems in vending machines. By 1944, the mint returned to copper, using recycled shell casings from military training grounds and munitions. Thus, the 1945 wheat penny was made from a brass alloy, approximately 95% copper and 5% zinc, and it holds within it the literal remains of wartime America. Every 1945 penny is a small piece of that history, struck from materials that once served the nation in conflict. As peace returned to the world, the 1945 penny became a symbol of endurance. Just like Lincoln himself, the economy would soon transition, soldiers would return home, and America would enter a new chapter of prosperity. And yet, these coins continued to circulate, day after day, quietly carrying the story of that pivotal year. From a numismatic perspective, the value of the 1945 Liberty wheat penny depends on a few important factors: mint mark, condition, and rarity of strike. Because of the large mintage, most 1945 pennies are common in circulated condition. A worn 1945 penny might be worth 3 to 10 cents, depending on its wear, but coins in mint state condition, especially those with full original red luster and sharp strike. The Lincoln wheat penny was the most commonly used coin of its time. In 1945, millions of Americans carried this cent in their pockets: soldiers going to war, families standing in ration lines, children buying candy at corner stores, and factory workers counting out bus fare. Every one of these pennies bore Lincoln's solemn profile, a tribute to unity, liberty, and perseverance, ideals that resonated deeply in a wartime society. But there's more to the coin than just symbolism. The metallurgy of the 1945 wheat penny reveals a fascinating intersection between the war effort and currency production. After experimenting with steel pennies in 1943, the U.S. Mint faced public backlash. Those coins rusted, stuck to magnets, and were difficult to distinguish from dimes. So, in 1944, the mint returned to copper, but this time with a twist. Instead of pure copper, the mint repurposed spent shell casings gathered from military training fields. These casings were melted down and blended with zinc to produce what is now known as the shell case alloy. So when you hold a 1945 wheat penny, you're quite literally holding the remains of war, material that once served in rifles, cannons, or artillery. That gives the 1945 penny a dual identity, both civilian currency and military relic. Even though the overall mintage exceeded 1 billion coins, wartime conditions meant that many of these pennies were heavily circulated. As a result, finding high-grade examples today is rare. Most 1945 cents exhibit signs of wear, discoloration, or surface spots. Very few have survived in mint state red condition. the brilliant copper color they had when they first left the press. For collectors, the allure of the 1945 penny lies not only in rarity but in historical resonance. It belongs to a class of coins known as victory cents, struck during the final years of World War II, alongside ration books, victory gardens, and war bonds. The penny became part of a shared national effort. In 1945, a penny still held practical value. 1 cent could buy a stick of gum, a newspaper, or a telephone call. A single roll of pennies might be a factory worker's weekly bus fare or a child's entire savings. Money had emotional meaning in those days. It was earned through hard work, sacrifice, and patriotic duty. Numismatically, the coin is also notable for its continued use of Brenner's original obverse design, which had been slightly modified in 1918 to reintroduce his initials. The reverse, with its twin wheat ears, was evocative of America's agricultural roots and symbolized productivity, something the country relied on more than ever during wartime. But the wheat reverse wouldn't last forever. Just 14 years later, in 1959, the reverse would be replaced with the Lincoln Memorial to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. Thus, the 1945 cent sits comfortably within the second-to-last decade of the wheat cent series, which spanned from 1909 to 1958. There's also a growing interest in die varieties and mint errors from 1945.